Many of you saw the play It's the Real McCoy in Harrow. It was a sellout. Now, the same writer, Tommy Marron, a broadcaster with Midwest Radio in Ireland, is also known for The Banshee of Crookie Hill and On a Wing and a Prayer, a tribute to the late Monsignor James Horn, founder of Knock Airport. Now, Tommy Marron wrote the script for Paddy, which attracted rave reviews. Now, we're pleased to bring you news of his latest production, Nobody's Talking to Me. It's being staged for one night only on Friday the 2nd of June at the Watford Colosseum. watfordcolosseum.co.uk. The box office is 01923 571 102. Now, before I chat with Tommy, here's a flavour of what to expect from the play.
To be getting you for your wedding anniversary all the same. Is there anything in particular you'd like?
A divorce. The last thing I'll be doing round here today is celebrating, believe me.
For heaven's sake, Maggie, will yourself and Mattie not try and make things up?
Even my own mother knew I was making a mistake. She warned me not to marry him.
Why not?
She said she didn't like the unusual growth he had on his neck.
On his neck? What was that?
His head. And I hear Frank Leonard is on the mend. He was dead but to bury him last week, but I heard he sat up in his bed yesterday morning and had 2 bowls to stir about for his breakfast. He's as tough as leather, that fella. They were saying that a week ago the doctor wanted to send him to the hospital for an x-ray, but he was that thin that all they ended up having to do was catch him by the long johns and haul him up to the tilly lamp to see through him.
Really?
Aye. Mind you, he still ended up in hospital, the poor fella. He had to have a skin graft.
A skin graft?
Aye. The long johns caught fire in the lamp and it nearly burned the arse of him.
You're serious?
Aye, and did you hear Nellie me finishing well?
No, what's wrong with her?
She was eating a hard-boiled egg on Thursday morning and she swallowed the spoon.
Well, will you go away?
Aye, swallowed the spoon, so she did. And I hear she hasn't stirred since.
On the line now, I'm pleased to welcome Tommy Marron. Tommy, a very good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Jerry.
Lovely to speak to you.
And you.
Tommy, it's said that laughter is the best medicine, and it seems you'll be serving up a tonic with the tale of Mattie and Maggie Conway. Can you give us a brief synopsis?
Well, the play is the follow-on from a very successful play called It's the Real McCoy, which we toured Ireland with, and indeed England and America for 3.5 years. So it was time to come up with something new, but I wanted something in the same genre, but at the same time a little bit different. So this is the story, as you say, of Mattie and Maggie Conway. They live in a very humble cottage somewhere in rural Ireland. It can be anywhere in Ireland. And it's the day of their 50th wedding anniversary. So from the outside, it should be a day of great celebration, as you can imagine, with family and friends. But sadly, what very few people realise is that the happy couple haven't actually spoken a single word to each other for 10 years. And it's all set during the day of their 50th wedding anniversary, where various characters try to persuade them that it's time to break the silence. In fact, the innocent parish priest arrives at the house not knowing that they haven't spoken a single word to each other for a decade, wanting to renew their wedding vows. There's also happens to be a wake in the house next door. The next door neighbour has died. And there's a whole plethora of other subplots going on. So as you can imagine, set in rural Ireland, early 70s, the kind of conversation that goes on, lots of huge, funny one-liners that makes it a show that guarantees 307 laughs in 2 hours.
Wow, that is something. It's kind of the classic funny tale of what went on behind the net curtains. Now, such is the success of Nobody's Talking to Me that it's into a second nationwide tour of Ireland, and you've notched up so far 80 performances. Now, no doubt word of mouth recommendation has resulted in packed houses. Do you attribute the appeal to its suitability as a sort of the entertainment for a couple, a group of friends or a family sort of any age?
Well, I think that certainly in Ireland, I think the same applies in England and indeed definitely in America, because we're just back having done 4 shows in Chicago. People love genuine, innocent, clean comedy. And I think when we started touring with this play and indeed the previous play, we were in an era in Ireland where we were in recession, where people were looking at huge debt, where generally the economy was poor and people's outlook was fairly negative. And I think people were yearning for something, anything, to kind of lift the depression, to go to a show, to go to something that would give them, as you say, at the start of this interview, laughter is the best medicine of all. And I think once the word started to spread about this kind of simple Irish comedy, people started coming in their droves. Originally older people, because it was fairly well set in that era where people now in their 60s and 70s would remember this kind of Ireland. But as the shows have progressed, particularly with this new play, we are really amazed at the number of 20, 30, 40-year-olds who are coming out and saying, something, this is the kind of comedy we should be getting all of the time.
Indeed, and it's certainly by the success of it, that's exactly what's happening. And Irish wit is a brand, indeed, all of its own, and the action set in the 1960s, rural Ireland, as you say, where the emphasis was placed on keeping up appearances, and it would sort of go against the grain at that time to disillusion the parish priest, who is hopelessly or haplessly even trying to do the renewal of vows. Now, it's a clever plot, Tommy, and the timing is a great skill. Your cast and company have collaborated many times, which no doubt is key. Who's involved? Who else?
Well, it's a very small group because in Ireland, as you probably know, Jerry, there is a great tradition of amateur drama. The problem with amateur drama, though, is that you come together in your local communities, you produce, direct, or take part in a play, and you put it on in the local hall for 5, maybe 6 nights, and then suddenly it's all over. And 5 or 6 months of rehearsal suddenly become a thing of the past. And I always thought, it would be nice to be able to extend that kind of a run. And I mean, I'm lucky insofar as I work in local radio, and therefore it gives you a platform to be able to promote plays that other people in other occupations mightn't be able to do as handily. So we kind of came together as a group of interested people who wanted more than just the 5 or 6 nights. And I wrote these, now our third play, and the reaction has been quite staggering and quite remarkable. And the group, there's a jeweler. His name is Ollie Rouse. He's from Ballina. We have a retired chef from the Health Service Executive, Eileen Slevin, who plays one of the main characters. We've Deirdre O'Mara, a full-time housewife from County Leitrim. My own wife, Mary, who's a full-time housewife, is also involved. And a radio colleague of mine, Jerry Glennon, who also, of course, stars on Ireland West Music TV, plays the main role in this latest production. And if you're looking for the gormless character, then Jerry Glennon is definitely fitting the bill. So we're all friends from different backgrounds who've just come together and enjoy putting on plays.
That's excellent, absolutely excellent. Now, the website is www.croakyplays.com. It goes into details all about the plays, including Nobody's Talking to Me. And there's some great still photos actually I've seen on the website. You no doubt, Tommy, you'll be amongst friends in Watford where Paddy the Musical got a well-deserved standing ovation. I bet you're looking forward to returning.
Yeah, the whole Paddy production was a completely different fish, so to speak. It was a much bigger production than Nobody's Talking to Me. And we really enjoyed our time, not just in Watford, but all through the tour of England. But, everything has its level. And whilst people will be saying, well, is this as good as Paddy? It is in its own way. I mean, Paddy was very much a story of emigration. This is very much Irish comedy, right from the word go. And remember, Jerry, that the first 8 minutes of the show, there's no dialogue. The first 11 minutes of the second half, there is no dialogue. But It's great to be listening on the wings and to hear the audience in raptures of laughter when there's actually nothing being said. And I think in itself, that is an art that we've been able to put together a show where people find things visibly so funny without any words whatsoever. So I'm hoping that the people who came along to see Paddy will come along again, and I can assure them a different kind of a night, but a night where they're going to leave the theatre on a high.
Absolutely superb. That's very, very interesting, actually, when nothing has been said for that period of time and people in raptures of laughter. Now, I guess I can't twist your arm as to whether Mattie and Maggie kiss and make up. People will have to go along and see for themselves.
Yeah, exactly, and you won't know until the very, very last 10 seconds of the production. The play is just over 2 hours, and it's in the very last 20 seconds of the play that you find out whether they talk or not.
Right. Now, for people trying to nail the accent in the trailer, which I played a little earlier, or indeed on the night to second guess where the action is taking place, as is often done with The Quiet Man, Ryan's Daughter, and more, it's don't really try. It could be anywhere. The accents could be from anywhere in Ireland.
Yes, that's true. And I mean, this weekend, for example, as I speak to you, I'm in Kilkenny. We were in the Watergate Theatre last night, and we're there again tonight, 2 sold-out shows. But it's amazing the number of people who came up to us afterwards and said it was lovely to hear the West of Ireland accents. And we're not ashamed of that because all of us are from the West. So you'll hear a bit of the West come out in a lot of it.
Excellent. And needless to say, early booking is advisable because you're only there for one night.
Yeah, one night in the Watford Colosseum, and when we did Paddy, we ended up having to do a second show at very short notice. I think just about 8 or 10 days out, we had to put on a second show. That can't happen this time because of commitments the theatre has to other shows. So yeah, it's the Watford Colosseum. It's one night, Friday the 2nd of June, and already the seats are booking up fairly rapidly. So I would be saying to your listeners, please book early to avoid disappointment.
Indeed. Nobody's Talking to Me, the comedy going down a storm throughout Ireland. Watford Colosseum, as you said, Friday 2nd of June, performance at 7:30, box office 01923 571 102, or you can visit watfordcolosseum.co.uk or our website irishradio.org. Tommy, it's a real pleasure speaking to you. We'll follow your creative output with interest and look forward to hearing all about Nobody's Talking to Me from listeners. Tommy, great to speak to you.
Jerry, it's been my pleasure, and thank you for the opportunity.